All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakradash. Secondly, I want to give double honors to my elders and my apostles of great millstone who taught me this truth and righteousness and in sincerity. And third of all, I want to give salutations to you hopeful elect that are out on the highways and the byways teaching and preaching this word in truth and in sincerity. Now, this specific lesson is going to be going into the tribe of Zebulun. Once again, I am going to be going into the tribe of Zebulun in this specific lesson, which is one of the tribes out of the 12 tribes of Israel, the nation of Israel being God's chosen nation that he chose from the foundation of the world to be a nation created in his image and after his likeness. And that same nation was chosen to rule over the entire earth and over the entire existence when it's all said and done, which is going to be established after Yahweh Shai comes to take down the so-called white man's kingdom, which we are in right now, which he is the devil of the Bible, the Edomites, the nation of Edom, according to the scriptures. And, he is soon to be taken down by the righteous king, Yahweh Shai, which that's his true name and not Jesus Christ. So when that happens, that's when the Hebrew Israelites are going to be able to truly reign, all 12 tribes. But the specific tribe that I'm speaking about once again today is the tribe of Zebulun, which in modern days they would be known as, from the Guatemalans here in the land of Guatemala, but in between, North and South America, from the Guatemalans to the Panamanians in the land of Panama and everything in between. So from Panama, going up, Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize. These are the Zebulunites, the tribe of Zebulun in the scriptures. This is who they would be. This will be their dwelling and who they will be known as today. Their predominant dwelling, even though they're scattered throughout all of these lands from, through the process of time and slavery. But this is their main dwelling. Every tribe has a specific dwelling that, is pretty much the home of that tribe. So this is the home of Zebulun right here. Now, I just started it off showing where they dwell according to the scriptures, and now I'm going to actually grab a precept to prove this. In this specific lesson, I'm going to be proving it more so geographically, going into the scriptures and breaking it down geographically. Now, this is the book of Genesis chapter 49 verse 13, and it reads, Zebulun, right? This is speaking about the tribe of Zebulun, which is once again one of the 12 tribes of Israel. This is speaking about his dwelling. It says, Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Now, let's start off with the first part. It says, Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea. Now, when you grab that word haven, it means seashore, coast, shore. So he's going to dwell at the seashore. He's going to dwell at the coast. He's going to dwell at the shore. So what is a coast? A coast is the part of the land near the sea, the edge of the land. Right. What is the shore? Same thing, the land along the edge of the sea, lake or other large body of water. So the land right before the water. Now, let's go back to that map. Now, this is that map that I was just speaking about when it comes to where Zebulun dwells. Now, from Guatemala and, even up here in Merida, down to Panama, the entire outskirts of this land is surrounded by water. So everything going along the right side, this is all seashore. This is all a coast right here. And on the other side, on the left side right here, this is all seashore, all the coast. So it says he's going to dwell at the coast. His dwelling is surrounded by a coast. It's a coast on both sides, So I'm going to read it again, and it reads, Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships. Now it says he shall be for an haven of ships. Now that haven is going into the same thing, but also when you grab haven and you look it up, the actual dictionary definition, it says anchorage, refuge. It says in number 2, a retreat, a shelter, a sanctuary, an asylum, a place of safety, place of security, port in a storm. Right, and that we know that is what the Panama Canal is, which is what this is going into. I'm about to break it down though. It says harbor, oasis, sanctum. Now that's what a haven is. Now right here is further going into it. It says a place of safety or refuge, an inlet providing shelter for ships or boats, a harbor or small port. Right, so when it comes to the land of Panama is very special for a specific reason. Let's go into it. So as you can see right here, you got this is the land we were just looking at right here. You can see that skinny strip. So Panama is this little green, this little dark green one right there next to the purple. That's on its left side. That's Panama. So that's where the Panama Canal is. But when you zoom out, you can see the South Pacific Ocean is on the left side, and the North Atlantic Ocean is on the right side. Then you got the Caribbean Sea, you got the Gulf of Mexico. You got all of these different seas and bodies of water. The South Atlantic Ocean down here on this side. But you got Panama right there. This is the home of the only choke point over here on this in between from up to Alaska down to the tail end of Chile. This is the only opening. It's a small opening that cuts in between the left and the right side, that basically connects both sides so that boats can get from over here on this side to anything over here on this side, without having to go all the way down and, around and then wherever they gotta go, or over here, wherever they gotta go. They're able to just go straight through, or from this side straight down through. So it says a haven of ships, so as that definition was going into, a safe point, a safety, a shelter for ships. So let's go into a few reasons why. Let's go into more into Panama right fast. All right, now when you go to Wikipedia and you type in Panama, it reads, Panama, officially the Republic of Panama, is a country located at the southern end of Central America in North America, bordering South America. It is bordered by Costa Rica to the west, Colombia to the southeast, the Caribbean Sea to the north, and the Pacific Sea to the south. Right, and like I was speaking about that canal, which is located in Panama, it goes through Panama, connecting the South Pacific Ocean to the Caribbean Sea, you know, and that's the only choke point going all the way up to Alaska, down to the tail end of Chile. That's the only opening that connects from the South Pacific Sea to the Caribbean Sea. But it reads to the Caribbean Sea to the north. Well, Salakia. I'm gonna start up right here. It says, well, it ain't even doing what I wanted to do. Salakia. I'm gonna start up right there. It is bordered by Costa Rica to the west, Colombia to the southeast, and the Caribbean Sea to the north, and the Pacific Ocean to the south. Its capital is largest city is Panama City, whose metropolitan area is home to nearly half of the country's over 4 billion inhabitants. And when you come down here to their anthem, in Spanish, it is, you can see it right here. In Spanish, it's Himno Estmeño. Himno Estmeño. But it means hymn of the isthmus. Hymn of the isthmus. And when you search up this word isthmus, let's search it. And let's go into it right fast. It says, an isthmus is a narrow strip of land that connects two larger land masses and is bordered by water on both sides. It functions as a natural land bridge, often holding major geographical and economic significance by enabling trade, transportation, and species migration. And that is going into the going into Panama, as it says, is kind of go into right here. It says Isthmus of Panama. This crucial land bridge connects North and South America, separating the Caribbean Sea from the Pacific Ocean. It is home to the Panama Canal, which allows ships to cross the isthmus rather than sail around South America. Now let's look back at the map. Now when we come back to the map, you can see from Panama up to, Guatemala, this is that strip of land that connects South America to North America. Right here, this strip. And this specific part of it is home to that canal, which connects, these two oceans. So this right here is what that hymn is speaking about. The hymn of Panama is speaking about this strip of land right here. Now when you come back to Genesis 49:13, it reads, Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for an haven of ships. Now I'm going to stop right there because I'm back on the part where he's his dwelling, which is speaking about, is a haven of ships. So it's a sanctuary, it's a shelter for ships. Because when you grab the word haven in the dictionary, it says a place of safety or refuge. Now, what are some reasons why the Panama Canal, which is that choke point or that connecting point of the Caribbean Sea and the South Pacific Ocean, Why would that canal be a safe point or a place of refuge, for ships? Let's go into it right quick. Now, I asked ChatGPT a simple question. I said, in what ways does the Panama Canal act as a haven for ships? It reads, the Panama Canal acts as a haven for ships in several important ways, not because it is a refuge from storms or war, but because it provides a safer, faster, and more efficient route between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Right. And that's going against, I meant Slovakia. Yeah, between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. That's going into the two oceans, in between the, that strip of land, that land bridge that connects North America and South America. But it says here are the main ways it serves ships. Number one, avoids dangerous voyages around Cape Horn. It says without the canal, ships traveling between the Atlantic and Pacific would have to sail around the southern tip of South America, right, going down to Chile, that tail end of Chile. It says, so you have to go all the way down and around to the other side. It says, and I wish they had a map so that I could show it, but it says the waters around Cape Horn are famous for massive waves, powerful currents, hurricane-force winds, icebergs during some seasons. The canal greatly reduces these dangers, right? So it saves the ships from having to go through these dangerous journeys and, prolonged travel periods to get where they going. So that's one way that it's a safety and a saver of the ships. It says shortens travel time. These going hand in hand. The canal cuts thousands of time off many voyages. For example, New York to San Francisco around Cape Horn, around 13,000 miles. So to get from New York to San Francisco in a ship, if you had to go all the way around without using the Panama Canal, it would be around 13,000 miles. But if you went through the Panama Canal, it says through the Panama Canal about 5,200 miles. So that's an extreme difference right there. It says this saves days or even weeks at sea, depending on how long they were supposed to be out there. So, that's another way that it's saving and, being a refuge to the ships. It says reduces fuel consumption. These are all going hand in hand, It says a shorter route means less fuel burned, lower operating costs, less engine wear, reduce emissions, provide sheltered island waters. Right, it says much of the canal passes through artificial lakes, calm channels. Ships spend much of the transit away from the rough conditions of the open sea. Right, so they able to get stuff in order on the ships. They able to, go through the canal smoothly without bumps and bruises, without having to worry about the ship getting damaged. So it's it's kind of like a break. It's kind of like a peace once you going through the canal, because ain't no telling what the ships and the people on the ships that had to go through leading up to getting to that checkpoint. It says professional navigation assistance. Every vessel receives guidance from experienced canal pilots who specialize in navigating the canal. Large ships are also assisted by tugboats, locomotives, aka mules, at the locks, canal traffic control. This generally reduces the risk of collisions or groundings. Right, so you even got guidance and, safety measures being taken, when it comes to the ships getting transported through, so that the ships can't even, it's harder for the people operating the ships to be able to even make a mistake, because they got people literally guiding them every step of the way. It says number 6, secure waiting areas. Waiting Ships arriving early can anchor in designated areas while awaiting their transit slot. These anchorages are generally much safer than drifting offshore. Right, so you ain't even got to worry about floating around. You able to anchor there, where it's more calm and the water's not as, aggressive, because they got certain things established to keep the waterways calm. They got shelter over there. As it says, they literally got secure waiting areas where the ships can dock. That's refuge for the ships. That's safety. It says reliable infrastructure. The canal provides emergency response teams, mechanical support, medical assistance if needed, and constant monitoring of vessel traffic. Right, so you got all of these different safety measures being taken, making the canal even that much more safe when it comes to repairing the ships. If it's damaged, it's like, in racing, where you drive up to the pit stop. That's like the pit stop of the one of the pit stops of the ocean. So, that's how it's a safety refuge for the seas. It says number 8, protection from privacy on some routes. By shortening voyages, ships spend less time in regions where piracy has historically been a concern. While the canal itself is heavily secured, it is not a refuge specifically designed for anti-piracy operations. Right, so it don't specialize in anti-pirating, but it is protected, and it's less of a chance of you dealing with those kind of issues going through the Panama Canal, and you able to avoid the areas that are literally known to be, pirating hotspots, so to speak. It says in verse 9, safe passage through locks. The canal's lock system lifts ships approximately 85 feet, which is 26 meters above sea level, to cross the continental divide before lowering them back to sea level. This controlled process allows vessels to cross the Isthmus of Panama without facing dangerous rapids or steep waterways. Salakia. Right, so increasing the safety of the travels through that canal. It says economic haven. Because the canal saves time and fuel, shipping companies can deliver cargo faster, reduce transportation costs, and maintain more predictable schedules. So all of these reasons right here that I just read all together show you why the Panamanian Canal, the Canal of Panama, is a haven for ships, and as the scripture said, Zebulun dwelling would be a haven of ships, a haven for ships. So when you put 2 and 2 together, that shows you that the Lord was basically giving clues, for us to look out for when it comes to today's age, because the scriptures were not just written for the time period that they were written in, but for the times that we're living in now. So the Lord is mapping out where he would put the tribe of Zebulun, by giving you different clues to where, where they would be dwelling and what their dwelling would be. They would be dwelling at the shores of the sea, at the seashore. And we seen that their land is surrounded by water. They're surrounded by shore, the land right before the water. And then it says that their land will be a haven for ships, which is the Panama Canal, which is going along that seashore, you know, and that is also going along that strip of land, that is spoken about in the hymn of Panama. So this right here is that land from Panama to Guatemala. And this right here is that haven for ships, where they are able to, come to make their trips safer, from them not having to spend as much time having to go all the way down here and come around and then be on this side, so